Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
And greetings. Thank you so much for joining me, Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse, for another edition of Herbally Yours, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. And today, we do not have a guest scheduled, so you can be the guest. Right here on Herbally Yours, where I am sitting in the studios at WHPC, you can call in with your question about natural, healthy lifestyles. The call-in number is 516-572-7440. That's 516-572-7440. And we'll say that's for Ask the Natural Nurse. Now, that's an interesting title, Ask the Natural Nurse, because I really do write many columns in newspapers and magazines, and that's the name of the column, Ask the Natural Nurse. And people do send in their questions about what to do for themselves and their family using natural remedies. And then I will give them an answer. Also on my website at naturalnurse.com. We also are featuring a series called Remedies, Ancient Medicine. And that is a completely free series. All you have to do is go to naturalnurse.com, and you will see how you can just click and sign up for it. And that's something else that you can just tune in to see, what you could learn about natural remedies. So we will begin a discussion, and what we're going to be talking about is cannabis. Wow, is that a hot topic? And meanwhile, you can call in and ask the natural nurse with any question you might have on herbal medicine or natural remedies, and that's 516-572-7440. Many people are quite confused with what's going on right now in terms of marijuana. It used to be strictly a recreational drug. Of course, before that, it was actually a mainstream medicine. Cannabis or marijuana was featured for pain killing, for coughs, for colds and flus, in regular medications that were put out by the mainstream drug companies, such as Parke-Davis and Merck. And I've actually collected a lot of old medicine bottles where you can clearly see. In fact, it was recommended highly for children who were agitated or what we might call hyper nowadays. They also for anyone with pain of any kind, which of course it is being marketed for again now. So then it went from being a widely recognized pharmaceutical, a drug that a doctor would actually write a prescription for and recommend, and then it became a recreational drug, and then it became illegal, and now we seem to be rotating it back to be a mainstream medical pharmaceutical drug that you actually can get a prescription for. Now, there seems to be so much confusion, and that's why I am a member of the American Cannabis Nurses Association, and I will be presenting at their national conference. And as part of the American Cannabis Nurses Association, we are committed to getting truthful information to people so that they can make better choices, because it is sort of a mask of confusion, really, in terms of the definitions, in terms of how to get a prescription, in terms of something called hemp oil or CBD oil. There is such a wide range of information out there, and we want to clear up some of that confusion today. One of the things I do need, I'm going to tell my engineer, is the little clock so I can, time breaks and things like that. I know we have a little clock that we can look at. Oh, because we have a lot of equipment here in the studio of WHPC. So, good. Now I can see where we're at. Thank you so much. So, in terms of medical and recreational cannabis, or what's called marijuana, they are actually the exact same plant. And the main compound that people have used recreationally for years, and what gives people the feeling of being high, that's called THC. And THC is both in recreational marijuana and also in medical marijuana. Okay, so it's the same thing. So what is the difference? The difference is recreational marijuana is still illegal. And a lot of people think, so it's not illegal. I can just go to the corner and buy it and drive around in the car. You can do it like you've always done it, but it's still illegal. You can still get arrested. Now, it is true that the laws surrounding getting caught with small amounts of marijuana, an ounce or less, have changed in many states. You have to actually check with your state to see. Here in New York, I know Mayor de Blasio recently, I'm not sure if that law is in place yet, but he recommended that it be dropped from being the charge of a misdemeanor, that you can simply, for small amounts, pay a fine, something like a $50 fine, and that's it, which is a whole lot different than the thousands of individuals who are actually serving long time prison sentences for having been caught with that amount in the past. So that is a huge departure. And that's, let's say, street recreational use marijuana. Now, if we look at what's called medical marijuana, that is now legal, totally legal in New York State. And all over the place, no matter where you live, they are opening things called dispensaries, which is just quite amazing and mind-blowing, actually, to me. But nonetheless, they are now opening dispensaries everywhere all over Long Island. I recently saw one. I was just driving along on Route 110, and I saw one that was called The Botanist. And as many of you know, because I do Herbally Yours, and we teach all kinds of information about the use of herbs in general, all kinds of medicinal and culinary herbs, I thought The Botanist would be a place where they're talking about botany, about plants. So I had to stop in and look at it. My husband, Michael, is very into planting plants and horticulture. So he thought that it must be about a place that they sell plants, like to plant in your garden. So we were both interested, and we stopped in there. And we were quite amazed to get into that building. There were all kinds of guards and cameras and lights and locks and several different little rooms you have to get through before you get in there with people buzzing you. I thought, oh, well, what is this? And when we finally went through all that, we found out that it was actually a medical marijuana dispensary. So I want to remind you that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamhi, the natural nurse, and today you can be the guest by calling in on our call-in line at 516-572-7440, and that can be about anything that you'd like to talk about, any kind of question in natural medicine. I'd also like you to know that right here on Long Island, almost every day, it seems, we'll be giving all kinds of herb walks where you can come with us in the field, gather wild, edible, and medicinal plants that actually grow right in your yard and in all the parks around here, and learn how to use them for food and medicine. We'll also identify wild medicinal plants, wild culinary plants that you can use in cooking. For years, people have used dandelion greens, especially Asian and Italian people use those all the time. And you will see, even today, grandmothers usually from those particular groups outside picking dandelion greens, but they are super healthy for everyone. And there are tricks of the trade in terms of gathering. For instance, you don't want to gather right on, let's say, Northern State where all the car fumes are, but perhaps in your backyard might be a great place, as long as you are not spraying with pesticides. And we will be at many local locations. For instance, in Brentwood, New York, we will be doing a walk at the Sisters of St. Joseph. They have an absolutely beautiful area of 126 acres. You'll think you went to upstate New York. And then we have one coming up in Huntington, Long Island, at a private home. That's coming up really soon in early June. We also have 2 at Restoration Farm, and that's part of the Restoration Village, all the way in the back, Restoration Farm. And you can find all of these at naturalnurse.com under calendar if you would like to come with us. And today you can call us by dialing 516-572-7440 if you have a question you'd like to ask in terms of Ask the Natural Nurse. And what we were talking about is the difference between medical versus recreational marijuana, and we found out that there is no difference. They are actually the same thing. It's just a matter of what is your intent, to use it for pain management or to use it for fun and getting high. You know, that's the difference. But in terms of the pain management aspect of marijuana, that is now being dealt with to where you can purchase really, really tested and pure marijuana, usually as an oil rather than something to smoke, here in New York State. I live in Florida, and in Florida, the laws are different. In Florida, they actually have now approved a smokable kind of marijuana, medicinal. Did we have a call, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, I see we have a call, so we'll take your call and ask the natural nurse. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Well, thanks for calling. What is your question?
My question is, how do you do a heavy metal detox without, I would just say, weakening your body so much, because your body needs certain vitamins and minerals?
Okay, that's an excellent question. And of course, we're just going to give you the short answer here on Ask the Natural Nurse. But I do have, many of you know, I've written many books. And one of the books I wrote is called Arthritis, the Alternative Medicine Definitive Guide. And in that book, I have a 20-page, in-depth, heavy metal detoxification protocol. So if you want to go further than what we're going to talk about right now, that's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Now, there's no problem. You do not, when you're doing a heavy metal detox, you clean up your diet. That's one of the ways that you do it. So you go on, like, mostly vegetables. The only thing you have to cut out for your diet during the detoxification period are things like bread, cake, donuts, bagels, pasta, and pizza. In other words, anything made out of wheat is what you're going to stop. But you can still eat mostly lots of vegetables if they're steamed in soup or juiced. And you can eat small amounts of meat, about the size of the palm of your hand, 3 times a week. So you are not deficient in nutrients. If anything, you'll probably be getting much more nutrients than you normally would if you're eating a diet that includes junky food and lots of bread. And
I see. So just change the diet, basically more plant-based.
That's number 1. Number 2 is the actual detoxification. So for that, we use something called homeopathic detoxisodes. And in homeopathic detoxisodes, you actually take internally messengers of the heavy metals that we know you might have. How might we know it? Well, through blood testing and urine testing that is done by holistic doctors, we actually evaluate. Also, hair testing can be used to see which heavy metals are you high in. Many people are high in things like lead, mercury, aluminum. And you think about aluminum, that's something that has been documented to be high in people who have Alzheimer's, but also even just with memory issues. There's usually...
I use cilantro. I use cilantro, basically. That sends it down to the kidneys and out, but it takes time.
That's right. Cilantro is one of the many herbs that can be detoxifying. We also...
No, because spirella, long-term, no good. I know something myself about this stuff.
Right.
That's what.
Now, dandelion greens would be useful. And the other thing we use is a lot of physical therapy. Among the physical therapy, and remember this is all documented in the arthritis book for a full protocol, is something called a dry skin brush. That's what it's actually called, a dry skin brush. It's got a long handle on it. It's made out of natural fibers. And how you use it is before you go in the shower, you actually stroke your skin, not very hard. It's just to exfoliate and open the pores.
Right, to get the lymph, basically, the lymph system going.
That's right. It helps the lymph fluid as well as getting off the dead skin.
I'm just saying, I catch you. You're the best one over there as far as different things. I've learned a lot as far as over the years because I've been teaching Tai Chi for 33 years. So I've helped a lot of people with the health. But I developed the heavy metal thing from work because what happened was they were doing welding, cutting and wetting fumes.
There you go.
So what happened was too many parts per million. So now what happens is I have an allergy. So I got to watch with foods, with different things, pollution.
Well, it's
and what
true.
happens is I'll get like a hydrocephalus thing where my head will just go and swell to protect the brain. So then what I got to do is massage. I use the cilantro, whatever. But what happens is I want to detox a little better, because as I get older.
I want to thank you for your call, but we're going to have to go to a break right now. And it's really good that you're looking into it and you can help yourself with natural remedies. So I want to tell you that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Listen live online at nccradio.org or on iHeartRadio. For more information, you can email us at whpc@ncc.edu. Stay tuned. Herbally Yours will be right back.
90.3 WHPC has a message from the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council, and Smokey Bear. That's right, Smokey Bear. He's been around for over 70 years protecting our forests, and now he's taking things one hug further to thank all you outdoor lovers for helping him prevent wildfires. Well, he would love to give each and every one of you a bear hug, but he's got a crazy busy schedule, so he's asking for your help. So the next time you see a friend being responsible with fire outdoors, extend a big ol' Smokey Bear hug. And remember, only you can prevent wildfires. Visit SmokeyBear.com for tips on wildfire prevention. A message from the Ad Council and the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
And welcome back to more right here on Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College. Today we're doing a session of Ask the Natural Nurse. And the call-in number is 516-572-7440. That's 516-572-7440. And we're taking your calls and trying to let you know where you can find out more information about how to deal with things naturally. And we're also talking about the difference between medical and recreational marijuana. So I want to throw this out to you. How about Hempstead? How do you think Hempstead got its name? Hempstead, which is our neighbor, it got its name because that's where they used to grow hemp. That's something to consider. So we do have another call, I believe. I'll put the caller through. Thank you. And you're here with the Natural Nurse on Ask the Natural Nurse on Herbally Yours.
Yes, two questions for you. Could you elaborate a little on that dry brush thing that you weren't able to finish a minute ago and how effective that is and why you use it? And also, hydrogen peroxide.
Yes, I definitely would comment on both of those things.
Yeah, the hydrogen peroxide drip that you get in an IV. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes. So for the dry skin brushing, you just buy something called a dry skin brush. It has a long handle, it's natural fibers, and how you use it, this is why it's called dry. You don't use it in the shower, like singing in the shower. You use it before you go in. And the trick is that you start and bring it towards your heart. So if you're doing your arm, you would start at your fingers and go up your fingers, arm, and towards your chest. And you do that same thing from every area of your body, long strokes. What that does is improve your lymphatic drainage and also exfoliates your skin and gets off dead skin cells. The next thing you do is actually put on your skin organic sesame seed oil. You can buy that very easily online or in stores. Very, very, very thin layer of organic sesame seed oil. That's all before you go into the shower. Then you can go into the shower, or if you're going to do a bath that actually pulls out heavy metals and is also good for excess radiation, you put in the bathtub a cup of baking soda and a cup of sea salt and perhaps 10 drops of really good essential oil of your choice, such as lavender oil. And you can soak in there about 20 minutes. And when you get out of either the shower or that detoxifying bath, you pat dry. So now you exfoliated, you oiled with organic sesame oil, very high in vitamin E, and it's lipophilic. Lipophilic means fat-loving, so it goes through your skin and actually increases the elasticity of your circulatory system, as well as being really good for your skin. So these are very natural self-care things at home. Now, to answer your question about the IV drips. Now, the IV drip you can only get at a physician's office who does IVs. You can't do a hydrogen peroxide intravenously at home. But more and more, all over Long Island, if you are local, and actually all over the country, wherever I travel, there's a boom of something called IV boutiques. And there are many on Long Island now. There didn't used to be one. I worked with Dr. Serafina Corsello for 23 years as her head nurse in Huntington, and we offered IV therapy. But now what's popping up are these IV boutiques where you can just walk in, you see a doctor for, just a quick physical to make sure that it's something you can use, and then you can actually get an IV drip of your choice, and there are many different ones available. One that you are talking about, caller, is hydrogen peroxide, and there's some very good research on the fact that hydrogen peroxide drips are strong antimicrobials. So I will say personally, when I know I've gotten bitten by a tick, which happens because I'm in the woods quite a bit, gathering wild edible medicinal plants. And I do not want to take any risk about getting Lyme disease because I've seen too many people have very severe Lyme disease, and that is not a good thing to get. So hydrogen peroxide can give you more energy because it releases oxygen in the system. It can act as an antimicrobial, but it must be administered intravenously at a doctor's location. So those are the two things that I could tell you about your question. So,
is there any danger if you're an allergic person to taking the IV of the hydrogen peroxide?
Of course. You can be allergic to anything. Is there any danger to eating peanut butter?
Yes.
Well, this is, so anything is possible. Nobody can say that everything is totally safe for everyone. However, the incidences of people having negative reactions to the hydrogen peroxide drip is low. You can look it up. It's documented. I don't think there's one single case of it being fatal. like so many pharmaceutical drugs, happen to be. So nonetheless, certainly anybody, now any good IV boutique, if they're doing anything intravenously, would certainly give you a very small amount, and see how you react first. Because allergies, now that you're bringing it up, anyone can be allergic to anything. So that is certainly possible. Nothing is 100% safe, as we said. So I want to thank you so much for calling in today.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to us today. I'd like you to know that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamhi, the Natural Nurse, and you can always find us at naturalnurse.com. So we're so happy that people are calling in, and we only have a few minutes left, so perhaps we can take one more caller at 516-572-7440. And we're also talking today about how would you get medical marijuana rather than recreational. Well, you have to go. This is how you start your journey. Go to one of the many dispensaries that are popping up all over the place. I mentioned one, but I'm not doing a commercial for them or anything. I just happened to drive by there. But there are dispensaries all over the place. You can easily find a dispensary. Go ahead and go to a dispensary, and they will give you a list of MDs, medical doctors, who are you have to go to their office, usually just once or maybe once again every 6 months. Check in with them. They will be sure that something like medical marijuana would be useful for you. And they will actually write a prescription about the dose that you should use. You should take this many milligrams per twice a day or once a day. And a physician needs to decide that according to you. Are you a man or a woman? How tall are you? How much do you weigh? What kind of condition do you have? Does the physician think that a cream would be better that you use topically, externally for many kinds of pain, which could be relaxing? Or are you having insomnia or anxiety? So all of these things have different prescriptions. When you get that list of physicians, I suggest you call around, because this is not covered by health insurance. I will tell you right now. So it's an out-of-pocket expense. But the doctors have full flexibility in what they're going to charge you, both for the initial and ongoing consultations. So that's something you may want to call around, compare, of course, see who you feel good about. Now, once you go to the physician, they will determine what you should take, and then you have to send into New York State with the doctor's consent an order, and then you get a license to be able to purchase at the dispensaries. So it's a process. But once you get it going, it's a lot easier. So you need to get a physician's order. You need to go to mail that into New York State. You get back your allowable purchase card for medical marijuana, and then you go back to the dispensary. At that point, you can actually make your purchase. So that's our show for today. Very excited that many of you did call in. We didn't have time to take all the calls, but some of you got a chance, which is great. I want to thank you for tuning in to Herbally Yours, produced in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. For further information, email us at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kamhi, the Natural Nurse, at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us next week for another edition of Herbally Yours. Until then, stay healthy.